Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. We are your choice for the conservative voice. This is Carol Parisi. Our founder, Jack Roser, and myself have Michael Carbone. And during the break, my gosh, the things that we were talking about. But Michael, we have school board elections coming up this year.
Yes.
You ran for school board. You also have helped other people. Our listeners, I'm sure, want to hear what you have to say about running for school board, what it takes to be a school board candidate, what it actually takes to be a school board member, or anything else you want to say.
Well, as I always tell folks, Carol Ann, is if you want to run for any office, and especially school board, I ask the question, do you run a tight ship at home? If you can run a tight ship at home, you qualify. It's keep it very practical, keep it simple. It's just a little bit more complex of a budget, it's just larger numbers. But you still have the same dynamics in how you spend. There's just a little bit more at play. I was fortunate when I ran for school board in 2011. It kind of happened I always say on purpose, because everything in life I think has a purpose why things happen. Mm-hmm. But I was a write-in candidate. It was an open seat, so I didn't have to go to a full-blown campaign. So I was very fortunate in that regard. Some might ask, why would an open seat be on a school board? Well, that's a good question. I don't know how to even answer that. But obviously, I got on the school board, and I always like to say I got my 12 votes, which is a little bit less than most. But typically, a school race based on population, you can get anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 votes. But to run a school board, as far as a campaign, run for office for that taxing body, it's not terribly complicated in the sense of I like to keep things simple. And when I did, coach sports and all, in anything in life, we got to keep to the fundamentals, the basics. And if you follow a very simple strategy, you should have success. Now, there's a different dynamic when it comes to school boards versus park district board and library board, because there's a lot more at play. And if you think about it in regards, why is it in play? It's usually your biggest employer in your township, your village. It's the biggest amount of dollars. Ours is $50 million budget. So when you have a lot of money, you tend to see more types of negatives play into that. And
What do you mean by negatives?
You might find a lot more of corruption.
So there's more wiggle room. When you have bigger numbers to play with.
If not actual corruption, self-interest gets into this thing.
Self-interest.
And you find
Never in politics.
And you do find self-interest. I had the hardest time to understand why people are on a school board, because you don't get paid for it. It takes a lot of time if you want to be successful and effective. But what I've come down to, it usually is self-interest. It's about someone's ego, someone's stature in the community. You go around, I never tell anybody I'm on a school board. Outside people that might know that, and I don't think that way. I'm here doing my civil duty to my community and helping out. But you have a lot of these folks that get on there for, I think, more selfish reasons versus being selfless, doing it for the right reasons. When you go to volunteer to coach baseball or some type of sport, you do that because you want to help kids and learn and teach. On this, it's a little bit different, and I went on there to do the best that I can to protect our teachers, to protect our students and our curriculum. Those are my main focus, why I got on that board. And I've done that, even though I've gotten beaten up, and a lot of folks don't think that. I've been for the teachers and for the district in some regard, but I know what I've been there. I believe myself, so I have high confidence in that.
Let's be real about it. There's an election, we'll say, coming up on a school board anywhere. Who's the biggest interested party in that? Teachers Union. Why is that? That's because they're going to get $132 million a year out of this thing. A lot of money. Look to where the money flows. So who gets on school boards? Largely people that have come through the education process, either in the unions or in the school system itself. And so they've gotten used to the way this thing runs for the benefit of those that are operating the system. If anybody doubts that, just go to our little book here and you'll see these immense salaries for what amounts to a half-time job. Huge salaries result in huge pensions, and which result in even bigger salaries for the union people that are running this whole system. They've got the money Follow the money.
I have a question.
It's in the hands of the union people.
I have a question.
And when the election time comes, the union is interested in putting money behind those people that will agree with what the union is doing. So you're really going to come up against a union that has millions of dollars to spend. And that's why it's so hard
to win school board
normally to get on a school board.
I have a question. Okay, you're on the school board. When the teachers negotiate their contracts with the union, does the school board play any role in that?
Oh, well, absolutely. We have a direct role. You know, every school board handles their dynamic, how they want to negotiate their own way, based on how you want to set up the board, the negotiating team. You know, but typically your attorney's the negotiator in the sense of, and that's because he's the legal guy. He should be the broker as far as on behalf of the board. You don't want all the board members that, you know, having the conversation. It's kind of like a real estate deal. You kind of want to have a middle guy in there, just like the union will have their broker negotiator there as well.
So there's a school board attorney, and then there's a union attorney negotiating.
Well, a union negotiator.
Okay.
Which is their rep.
Okay.
It's usually the
You're talking about the negotiating time for the salaries.
Teachers' contracts for their salaries.
Yeah, well, nobody's allowed to interfere in that. That's the #1 law.